set up here. But yeah, so the introduction pretty much summarizes what BridgeU is for. It's a platform that your school is going to use to interact with students and assign students tasks that are related to college and career counseling. So any activity that has to do with figuring out what kind of career I should undertake and what kind of a higher education I should choose goes through BridgeU, as well as the application process. So while the application process itself for students happens outside of BridgeU, because universities have their own application portals, for you and for other schools administrators and for the counselor in particular, it will go through BridgeU, which simplifies the school's life quite a lot. And as teachers, there are different ways in which you can be involved in the process for students to choose their careers in their universities, as well as for them to get in these universities. And we're going to talk, and I'm going to show you in particular, how to use the recommendation letters tool, because they might be asking you for recommendation letters as they apply to universities. But before you do that, I want to go through a presentation in which I explain a little bit what is BridgeU's approach to college and career counseling. So if at any point you have any question, please feel free to raise your hand and stop me. We call it a whole school approach. We want to empower students, inform the guidance strategy, and improve the outcomes. So there's different ways we can do that, and we can help you do that. Ideally, a college and career counseling program for students would start as early as when they're 14 years old. Now, not all schools choose this path, so sometimes we don't have the time and resources to start that early, but when possible, it would be ideal. And in the first 2 years of this process, between their 14th and 16th, students will start figuring out more about themselves. What am I strong at? What am I interested in? What would I like to do, right? So it's the basis to then decide where am I going to go to university, really. Where should I look at to study? And so BridgeU has a few tools for that I have shown students this afternoon that are for discovery and exploration. These are both for their self-discovery and exploration, so trying to understand what their strengths and skills are, but also careers and university exploration, which is more about what is out there, right? And we give the school something that is called lesson plans. So the lesson plans are basically the syllabus of college and career counseling. What are the steps that you should undertake with students to guide them through this process? And basically, what is the route that you should be following? It's a suggestion. Every school can customize it and change it to your need, but we provide that as well. And another main advantage of the school for using BridgeU is that you will be able to track everything in one place. So that means that over the years, as you look back to how students from GIRS have performed in terms of applications to universities, you will have everything in BridgeU. And you can look at trends, which is like a big, important bit, especially for a big school, where it might be difficult to look at numbers and understand what the trends are and maybe spot a problem and so on. So if we'll have the time, I'll just briefly show you Insights, which is one of the instruments that we have. And then of course, 16 to 18 years old, the students already should be figuring out which universities they want to go to, start preparing their application. This is the core of our platform. So this is where they really narrow down an applications list, let the counselors know what they're applying, and they start putting together those documents, those applications, those personal statements and essays that they're always so worried about. And basically, we help them and we help you helping them with this. The insights part that you see covering these 4 years of guidance has to do with a tool that we have recently introduced in BridgeU. There is basically a data analysis tool. So we look at your student population and the different demographics, whether it's gender or like grade, percentile, and so on. And based on that, you can see how differently they perform in terms of applications across universities or countries and so on. So it helps you spotting trends that you might have to be mindful about. So it helps you designing good strategies for the school. So the first thing to understand about how students think and how students should be doing this journey, and to be able to help them, you have to understand what kind of questions they're asking themselves along the way, right? So normally, they start, before they decide where to go and what to do, they have to start asking themselves, who am I, right? Who am I as a person? And this is where our personality assessment tests come into play, and the students start discovering a little bit about themselves. We have assessments that have to do with their personality type, that have to do with the learning style, and that point out to multiple intelligences. So they should get, this is their awareness part, gaining more awareness of themselves. Based on that, we now start thinking, what can I do, right? How do I put this to use so that in the future I can have a nice job, basically. This is where we start thinking of career planning and education. In the platform, students have a very powerful careers tool. I've shown it today during the session, although briefly. It's something they should be spending some time on. So I recommend that if they come to you asking about, do you think this career is good for me, this career is bad for me, you also point them back to this tool, because it's purely informative. It doesn't really tell them you should do it or not. It's purely informative, but it says what are the skills that are normally required for this job, what kind of salary progression can you expect over like 10 years, right, from start to becoming senior, and also shows the latest trends in demand for that job. So one thing that I was trying to explain to students today is that the job market changes very quickly. So by the time they finish high school, it might have changed. By the time they finish college, it might have changed again. So the best informed decision that we can make is by looking at the latest trends and see how things are going. It might not be perfect, but is the best approximation that we have, right? And so the website shows them trends in careers demand, so they can go and take a look at it as well. Then the third step is, where should I go? What is the right university? What is the right college? What is the right country even? So we were sitting now with one of your students, and he was trying to figure out what country to go to, and there are so many factors in it, right? Visa, which is undeniably an issue, costs, and then the environment. Am I going to be happy in this country? Am I going to find the kind of support that I need? And of course, not in order of priority, but of course the quality of the teaching and of the university and so on. So here we really have to help students have a comprehensive idea of what are all the factors to be taken into consideration. The tool, BridgeU, helps them doing that because we have a matching algorithm. So the matching algorithm basically is, I didn't say to students because I didn't want that to sound too much of a game, but really is a little bit like a dating app for universities, right? You give me a profile, you tell me what are the things that you like, what are the things that work for you, whether you want to be in a very, competitive university and environment or not, and so on. And we bring up the options that are viable for you with your grades, and that are also good for your personal preferences. So instead of giving you a list based on rankings or something else, we look at fit. We're talking about both academic and personal fit. That is the real core of BridgeU. BridgeU was born as such a platform to help students make sense of these hundreds of thousands of options that are out there all over the world. And it should be, of course, it's not 100% perfect, right? No matching is. But it's a starting point, is a way to start sorting and prioritizing options. And I know it sounds like very abstract now, but I'm going to show you how that actually looks for students in a moment. How do I get there? This is where we go to, again, the university and course applications process. So here, I'm afraid a lot of the work and a lot of guidance will come from Archana for students, but you can of course help by, for example, contributing to write recommendation letter, giving students their predicted grades so that they come up with proper matches and so on. And finally, the decision making at the end. Am I going to take this offer? Am I going to attend? What if I don't have any offer? These are also things that we have to be ready for, because it happens even to the best students, and we have to have a plan for that. So I showed you what Bridge U does for students, what kind of journey covers for students. This is what we do for our schools, and in particular for our counselors. The core platform is an instrument to manage the process, to plan it, manage it, and track it. We then have tools to analyze data and so on, so that is probably most interesting for the school leadership and for the strategy making of the school. Then we have professional development options. So you have in me a person that is here to consult the school going forward on how to do things related to college and career counseling and how to do them best on Bridge U. But we also have, for example, we have a conference every year in May in Hong Kong that is only for our Asian schools. So schools international schools from all over Asia come to Hong Kong, and we have 2 intensive days in which we have 2 tracks. We do training on Bridge U, how to use the platform, so like a bit more technical if you want. But then we also have, another part of the conference where we do more general professional development. Let's understand the latest trends in higher education. What are the nicest destinations that are coming up for students and they're more interested in? Let's understand changes in admission process across different countries and so on, so that we can make sure that we prepare students properly going forward. The last bit that you see, Connect with Universities, is a new product that is launching very soon, probably next week. Connect we're basically opening up to universities. Until now, the users of our platform have always been students and the school administrators, right? Now we're bringing in the universities. So it's the start of a very exciting process. We will start very simple, with the universities being able to see what international schools work with us, and eventually schedule themselves in to come to your school visits according to the availability that you put in the platform. But in the future, we want this to be growing into a much better interaction. So we would love for it to be a way for universities to be updating directly on Bridge U the entry requirements, the suggestions for the students, direct